looks like down the center is where they would house the larger animals. So that's what that is. And you see it's open to the top. So, and then more storage for water. This is interesting. This display is for lighting. So they would open those up and let light in. That's interesting. And then they would light lanterns. That's really interesting. Now over here is about how they would transport the waste, and I took a picture of that. Wait, excuse me. This is how they would let the waste down. I showed you a picture of that earlier. And then he loads it, and then it gets carried up there. So that's interesting. That's fascinating. Where they would collect, looks like they would collect rainwater. Yeah. So that's really interesting. Here's a cross-section of the food system. You could go in there, and there's the little critter.
Crossbreeding with a mole.
And then here's how the water would get in there. This display here kind of shows the water would go through the tubing down and then fill this container, and see how there's a trough down there where they would drink from. Now this is also interesting. Hope you're not getting sick watching this. This is how the food would come down the tube and then go into a trough. So here's an example of how they would travel across the ark carrying things. So and then here's the type of lighting that they had. Here's another example of it. I think if I were doing this job, I'd probably get in trouble because I'd want to linger and pet some of the animals. And you know, if I talk to them, I talk to them like this in my animal voice.